Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into PTV World, where you are actually watching, well, this morning's special transmission on the Defense and Martyrs Day, and the date happens to be 6th of September 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and with me, I'm very lucky that I've been joined by my very well-learned colleague, who happens to be Miss Haja Sati. But I believe that today it is a very magnificent day for all of us Pakistanis, may we be in Pakistan or outside Pakistan. And the reason stands that, all of those nations which are living in the first place comes out harder from whatever challenges it's facing rather as well. But imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that when you have a neighbor who's not so neighborly and declared, in fact, war onto you and your armed forces and your civilians, make sure that they are going to defend every inch of their land. It certainly calls for a bigger celebration, and bigger than celebration, it needs to be a rich tribute for all of those people who have laid their lives in the name of the motherland, Pakistan. And that's exactly what we are going to do today. We are going to pay rich tribute to all of those amazing people, may them be civilians, because in 1965, when an undeclared war from India was actually opened up or announced by India that, okay, this is something that will be happening to Pakistan, I believe that for all of those civilians who bare hand move towards the borders to make sure that they're going to defend every inch of their land, may it be the armed forces of Pakistan, may it be Pakistan Army, may it be Pakistan Air Force or Pakistan Navy, they made sure that they're going to be resilient, and they made sure that they're going to protect their motherland. And when we say that the oath that they have taken, they're going to stand by it. And this is exactly an example that today that we are going to create that triple effect. We will share all of those historical moments which took place and how Pakistan armed forces and the civilians collectively defended their borders. And today is a day, this is why I referred that it's a magnificent day, that today is the day that we need to celebrate. We need to talk about them. We need to tell our future generations the spirit of sacrifice needs to be instilled. And that's exactly what we are going to do. And that too, ladies and gentlemen, with our war veterans. But let's see what Hajra has today on this magnificent day.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much, Jazakallah Khair, for introducing me. Today happens to be 6th of September 2024, and I always used to think, reflect and ponder upon what does the Qaum, Watan, Millat means. I just felt that it was a fancy addition to our Urdu dictionary, but as I grow up, I feel they are not just a fancy addition to our dictionary. They are part of our ingrained genetic identity. They make us a part of something bigger called Pakistan. They give more purpose to our identity, our national identity. And Shahzad, one thing that I have learned, till this time is that independence, liberty, and freedom and exercise to a choice of the fundamental liberty called freedom is something that is not granted to everyone. And this is such an underrated luxury. And I think we need to be more grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having this a piece of land called Pakistan, where we can exercise our choices, we can exercise, we have the liberty, we have the freedom to exercise what we want. So, and it is famously said in an English maxim that the tree of liberty must be flourished with the blood of martyrs. So, in order to further unroll our conversation and dissect these concepts, we have a wonderful representation in the form of visual representation. We have a report. Let's see that report, and then have this conversation going on. So, let's see this.
Pakistani singers played their pivotal role in the 1965 war. Singers of top caliber such as Noor Jahan, Mehdi Hasan, Ahmad Rushdi, Alam Lahar, Salim Raza and others played their part collectively to propel the nation forward. They made the nation realize that we, Pakistanis, are equipped with self-confidence and unwavering faith, and that Pakistan as a nation would not be undone by the evil and ill-will designs of our enemy. They inspired Pak Army and its brave soldiers to show even more feats of unprecedented valor in the battlefield. Queen of Melody Noor Jahan's "Ae Watan Ke Sajile Jawano", dedicated to the Pak Armed Forces who were bravely defending the borders of Pakistan, used to send waves of patriotism and national fervor down the spines of many Pakistanis. Mehdi Hassan's Apni Jaan Nazar Karoon kept the fire raging within the people and the soldiers, and also paid a great service to their nation in those testing and hard times. While A Mard Mujahid Jaag Zara Ab Waqt Shahadat Hai Aaya, sung by Inayat Hussain Bhatti, is highly motivational, and it made it so forceful that one can feel the beat getting into one's heart. साथियों मुजाहिदों जाग उठा है सारा वतन by Masood Rana and Shaukat Ali.
It was a wonderful report by our team, and we do believe that it's going to give away that message that we certainly want to share with our audiences out there. But Hajar, that's not enough. Imagine that we do talk about 1965 war, we do talk about 1971 war, we talk about Kargil war, but the dynamics of war has definitely changed in today's time and period. And certainly we really need to kind of make sure that we highlight the challenges that the country faces now. And in addition to this, where you said millat, where you said Pakistaniyat, all these these fancy words which came to the dictionary, these aren't barely fancy words. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the essential emotional attachment of all of us, with our motherland we call Pakistan, alhamdulillah. And I've always been wearing this flag, and I'll make sure that, till the day I die, this flag will rise high as well. So without any further ado, let's introduce our worthy guest over here.
Right. Thank you so much. And without further monopolizing our conversation, we want to unroll the worthy guests that we have invited to our studio. They have graced us program. So first of all, someone is joining us who has been involved in the Bajor operation in 2008. He was the victim of the IED blast, and he fought very valiantly, and he's the Ghazi of the war on terror. And like Shahzad mentioned, the dynamics of the war have changed entirely, and I'm really proud to say that Pakistan is the only country that has won the war on terror, right? Because we have managed to win the hearts and the minds of the people. So how was his experience? And without any further ado, we are very glad that we have been joined by Major General retired Zayed Mahmood. He happens to be Hilal-e-Imtiaz military, and he has the Tamgha Basalat. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
It's an honor to have you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Right. And joining Major General Zayed Mahmood, we're also very glad that we have been joined by Commodore retired Babar Bilal Saab. He happens to be Sitara-e-Imtiaz military, and he is also the Vice President of the NEMA. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Thank you very much for calling me.
Happy Defense Day to you. And furthermore, we are also being joined by the Air Commodore retired Saeed Shoaib Salim Saab. He happens to be an analyst. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Walaikum salam. Thank you.
And you have been conferred with the Sitara-e-Imtiaz military as well. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. First things first, sir, we're going out in 46 different countries, but today I think this program is dedicated to all of those Pakistanis, wherever they may probably be. How would you highlight, or what do you think is the significance of the 6th of September, when a very not neighborly neighbor actually, opened a war? It was undeclared, it was in the middle of the night, and we knew that, that unfortunately things could have gone the other way, but it was the armed forces, the civilians, everybody stood together, made sure that they're going to defend every inch of their motherland.
But thank you very much, Shahzad. I think 6 September, it's an icon and a very important day in for all of us. This is the day once we represent and we pay tribute and salute to our martyrs and Ghazis. This is a day of solidarity with those Shuhada of Pakistan who sacrificed their life for this motherland.
True.
And we owe everything, every breath we take, we owe everything to them.
True.
And we salute the parents, mothers and fathers of those Shuhada, especially who gave their children for the nation, who sacrificed their life for our freedom. So this is not an ordinary day. And it is not only a day in context, It is basically, it shows the spirit, the national spirit of Pakistan. And this shows the future. This also set our discourse for the future also. So this has not, we are not supposed to be only observing it, giving it respect to this day, but we have to set the course for the future as well.
Exactly. But sir, in addition to this, you've been the officer of higher stature, alhamdulillah, in the Pakistan Army. And Hajar just mentioned that you've been a victim to IED blast, you know, in Bajor. How do you feel post, you know, that blast, you know, you fell victim to? Do you think that your Pakistaniyat has gone up? Do you think that you've done so much for the country? How do you feel? We certainly want to put words to your perspective today.
Shahzad, well, I will say that a soldier never feels that he has done so much for the country.
MashaAllah.
Because since the time, if he is alive and he is living in that country, his spirit to deliver more and more, that comes out, you know.
MashaAllah.
So he feel like that something was still left. So there is something more to be done. So it's never ending a process. Post Bajor, in fact, when once we saw those shahadas, we saw those shahadats, all right, our young children, our young boys, our young soldiers sacrificing. I was the commanding officer of a unit in Bajor, okay. So at that day, this was 24 September 2008, once I got injured. But primarily, basically, it was a mortar shell and it was followed by 6 bullets, bullets wound. All right. That day, I lost 10 soldiers. So there's no soldier in my unit. There's no soldier even in the Pakistan Army or in the Frontier Corps soldiers or a police. There's no soldier in Pakistan who has a uniform stained with his own blood or with the blood of his colleague.
Yeah.
All right. So they feel that, and they always keep that thing in mind, that we have these people have sacrificed so much. So post Bajor, after this sacrifice, I think we go back to that sacrifice, and then we say that, are we doing right or wrong at the moment?
All right.
Where are we heading for? All right. So they are at the back of our mind.
It's
They are
always
in
there.
our heart,
Yeah.
and our future course and our future actions are always, you know, we keep comparing that, are these actions which presently we are taking
Are
are
going in-
worthy of, you know,
Yeah,
what we were supposed to be doing, what we are supposed to be doing. All right.
Subhanallah.
And
So
these
that's
are
the
very deep thoughts coming on. So now moving to Babar Saab. So Babar Saab, since you belong to very prestigious institution of Navy, and we are commemorating the Defence Day on 6th of September back in 1965. We've seen that how, like Shahzad mentioned, India invaded our country, right? So Pakistan Navy initiated massive Operation Dwarka, which was codenamed Operation Somnath. So in order to commemorate it, please enlighten us what was that operation about in 1965 and how we got a massive success as a part of the very prestigious institution called Navy in that entire operation.
Look, once in 1965, when India invaded, rather attacked Lahore on the night of 6th. So India had a plan to have a cup of tea in Lahore Gymkhana. So by the Alhamdulillah, with the grace of Almighty and the united front shown by the armed forces along with the people of Pakistan, we rather blunted their first initial attack, and then we took the war to their home waters. In naval terms, we usually say the war in their waters. So on 7th, 8th night, Pakistan Navy planned to attack Dwarka. Dwarka is a small town close to the Gujarat coast, south of Karachi. But it had a very strategic radar installed over there, which was guiding the Indian Air Force to attack Karachi, as well as it was providing the information for the naval shipping which is coming out and coming into Karachi. So that was a strategic value asset of the India. So we attacked it, and on 7th, 8th night, about 20 minutes, we fired about 350 shots right from 5-7 miles in their waters, stationing the ships. There were 7 ships formation. They attacked the Dwarka, destroyed that radar station. And because of that, there was a two purpose. One was the attacking the Dwarka operation, the radar station.
Right.
Secondly, we wanted to, Indian Navy should come out of the harbors because they were fearful of our submarine.
Yes.
All right.
We had a Ghazi deployed at sea.
Yes.
We wanted that the ships, Indian Navy should come out, and we wanted to hunt those ships.
No mercy, basically.
So that was, but fortunately for Indians and unfortunately for us, Indian Navy opted to stay inside because of the fear of Ghazi and this Dwarka operations, and remaining 15-18 days actually had a command of the sea.
Right.
Those
But they
And-
finally did had a cup of tea, sir, and they said it was fantastic as
yes,
well, right?
we have a cup of tea, but in 2019.
Right. And that is how we see that numerical superiority is not a measure of success. So now moving to Air Commodore Shoaib Saab. So we've seen that it is said, especially in the military and strategic studies, that if you have the air superiority, that is the true measure of your success or the strength of the air force, the forces, right, or the strength of the country. So now moving on to 1965 and commemorating what happened. So we've seen that how valiantly Air Force defended our skies, right? And there's so many stories of valiant, of gallant that came on. So please shed some light on how Air Force defended our skies, and despite being smaller in number, smaller in size in terms of the territory, but he was still able to influence or underpower or undermine a bigger territory, which was 5 times, I think, in numerity.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I'm very proud to be a Pakistani, and it's an honor that I had been a part of the Pakistan Air Force. And Haja has rightly mentioned the wording of Qaid-e-Azam in her language. Qaid-e-Azam, after taking over 1948, he went to PF school at that time, now Academy Risalpur, and he gave a very, very clear direction to the Pakistan Air Force, that because he had been living in the West and he has seen the air power role, that without the air power, the country is at the mercy of aggressor. And he's gave the task to the Pakistan Air Force that you should be second to none. And Shukr Alhamdulillah, starting from 1949 and Kashmir, in that Pakistan Air Force did wonderful job. 1959, on Eid Day, the camera comes in at a height where our fighter is not made to fly that level. At that level, 50,000, our fighters, they shot that camera on Eid Day. And then coming on to 65 war, 6 September. Before 6 September, 1st September, the engagement had started.
Right.
And on 1st September, the 4 vampires, they come in, and all 4 were shot down.
Right.
Because of shooting down of these 4 vampires, the Indian Air Force decided that they should not pitch these vampires in the air, and basically 1/3 of the Air Force was grounded right there because of this fact.
Right.
Followed on to 6 September and in between incidences. This is the classical air superiority type of achievement which Pakistan Air Force achieved, that we destroyed them right on their bases, 14 aircraft at Halwada, and whatever came in the air, we destroyed them. And we achieved air superiority, in which, due to which Pakistan Army was able to defend our border, and Air Force was able to destroy all those tanks which were coming to the Pakistan, Lahore, Gymkhana,
And we've
conquering.
seen there are lots of stories, stories that have propped up, and not just that, like Shahzad mentioned, there were a lot of civilians who had so much patriotism in that, that they were ready to sacrifice their life for Pakistan. And we've seen and we've heard the stories from our grandparents that how people of Lahore, they were unarmed, but yet they had, very basic level of the weapons like stones and sticks, and they went to the Wagah border to defend their motherland, their beloved motherland. This is the level of the patriotism. So now, Major General Zahid Saab, now coming to you. So you are from the Pakistan Army, and we've seen that how the nature of the war has changed, right? So in conventional terms, there was a clear enemy. He was wearing a uniform. He was very distinct in his demeanor, in his stature. But now when we talk about, since it's also Defense and Martyrs Day, right, war on terror, the entire dynamics changed, right? So there was a lot of fluidity in the concept of the enemy. The more you strike him, the more his ideology will flourish, right? And it was a very difficult time for our state. I mean, let's accept that, because we have never seen any such sort of thing.
That too for more than 2 decades.
Exactly. And I think this breed of generation of the armed, the forces that are coming up, they've all fought the war on terror, right? So what makes it distinct, right? How do you think Pakistan was able to overcome this menace of, terrorism which was flourishing in its land? And the same thing I can say very safely, that America failed in Afghanistan, right? But Pakistan was very successful in curbing it. What was different that we were doing?
Well, Hajra, before I comment on whatever you have asked, we were talking about the people and the soldiers
Yep.
connection. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So the structure of this war, and especially maintenance of the peace and conduct of war, it is based on only one and most important principle and element, that is the connection between the people and the
Yes.
soldier.
Yes.
True.
All right, and this has always been, and this will remain the target of the inimical forces and our enemies. So we need to understand this as a nation. All right, we'll talk. Maybe we may talk
Sure.
later on this about the connection of the people and the soldier. Now coming over to war, again I'll say that Pakistan is not an ordinary country.
True.
Okay, it's the only Muslim country which is a nuclear power.
True.
All right, it's the only country which really is the face of the Muslim world.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, it's not an ordinary country. We have had Russians in our backyard. Okay, since
True.
for 11 years.
True.
Then we are fighting with our old good friend India since our birth. So they were expecting that this country will only might take 6-8 months, and this will be disintegrated and they'll be back. All right. So if we have not been very successful, but we are at par with them.
Yep.
All right. They are not an ordinary country. So Pakistan is, again, it's not an ordinary. Then we had a war on terror in our neighborhood, Afghanistan, Americans present here. So we all survived in these difficult times. So as a nation, we need to understand that we are not ordinary. Once you are not ordinary, so they will keep subjecting you with the different forms of the warfare.
True.
Yes.
So in the conventional and the other form of the war, once they have seen that they have failed to, coerce Pakistan, they have failed to defeat Pakistan, they have adopted this new war in the
Exactly.
form of the hybrid.
Exactly.
So in the previous war, maybe the physical presence of the soldiers or the physical presence of the military was the target, all right, destruction of that military and then the disintegration of the country, or maybe whatever. So basically they wanted to have a quasi-stable Pakistan, all right, which remains subservient to them, to their policies. So once they failed in that, they adopted this war. So that's how. Now mostly the target is the mind.
True.
Suppressing the nation to an extent where they lose hope in the state.
True.
And this is the target, and this is what is happening presently.
And that's exactly, sir, which we wanted to touch upon. Now, imagine that, alhamdulillah, I've had the honor of being very well integrated with ISPR as well. I mean, if Zami Naqvi Sahab is watching it as well, thank you so much for being out there. So, first ever 23rd March, after 7 years of stoppage, I was the host. For all of those Chief of Army staffs who went out and, the Chief of Army staff who have taken oath, alhamdulillah, I've been able to host those ceremonies. And I've seen how this beloved institute of ours work, and I've been always flabbergasted with, the kind of standard operating procedures that they have and the work that they do to make sure that this, civilian and, armed personnel or the armed forces bondage always stays together. Now, when you say that, it is that linkage or positioning in the brain, we certainly do get it. People who are within the system or a part of the system. But while touching upon this, how do you think, or what do you think needs to be the role of the civilian community in making sure that they know the facts too? Because we just believe blindly onto whatever is being said, posted over the internet. We're like, nah, ye theek ho raha hai. And then we start to argue over it. I think that's where the problem lies. And what do you think needs to be the responsibility? Because I see armed forces fulfilling their responsibility, defending the land. That's why in 2024, we're sitting over here, we're talking about it. There's no, second thought to it. So how do you think that this needs to be done?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Shahzad, you see that the people must, unfortunately, as a nation, we lack conducting analysis, are thinking from where this is coming, all right?
Yep.
So as received and forward, this is happening.
Yeah. As
Nobody
per
even-
rule.
As per, yes.
Yeah.
So nobody's, early morning, you get up, all right, you open your phone, you see news or any information without seeing from where it is coming, okay?
That's it.
So
Forward.
you're believing in that, and
Yep.
you're starting your day with a negative thought,
True.
all right? Having aspersions, having negative thoughts about your institutions and all that.
True, true.
So this we lack as a nation. Let's admit this, all right? This is the problem. So what we need to do is that at least we should give us little thought that what is coming to us, why it is coming to us, all right? You forget about the nation, forget about the institutions, forget about individuals, all right? Think about yourself, that what is happening with this news or what is going to be done
Or
to
why
me.
is it out there
Yes,
in
why
the
it's
first
for
place?
me,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
it has been sent to me.
Yeah.
So you should know that you are the target, and that's it.
True.
So you have to understand that, all right, analyze it, then have faith in the, look, if we don't have the institutions, we won't be having this country in the shape in which we have this. So these institutions are, so we need to put a lot of effort, we need to protect the institution, all right. If you're not part of the army or the navy or the air force or any other for that matter institution, or any judiciary or other institutions also.
Or PTV, yeah.
Or PTV maybe, correct, we need to protect them.
Which is why I'm going to move on to Baba Sahab. Now, Baba Sahab, this is one way of asking this question. The other way of asking this question is, for example, sir just spoke about it, that the country wouldn't have been in this situation if these institutions wouldn't have been very positive, right? Now, let's take you on the other side. This country really wouldn't have been in this position if these institutions weren't there. How would you protect that?
Look, before I answer your question, taking the lead from the General Sahab, Pakistan has been blessed with the three basic strengths. One is we are all Muslim, and this country was created because of the Muslimhood. This Muslim identity is beyond doubt, and this is the reason for creation of this state. Secondly, if I remember 2010 or 11, there was a Rand Corporation study on Pakistan, and they have identified our family structures, our love for each other, family members is this great strength, and they value this identity to be part of Pakistan's national strength. And thirdly, now this, when coming back to this era where we are facing now, not the enemy is now targeting the two state theories, that the Muslimhood and this family. And third strength is Pakistanis and the armed forces, they are like a punch.
True.
Navy, army, air force, intelligence agencies, civil institutions, exactly,
Sir,
judiciary.
while you're at it, I think it needs to be added over here as well. So may it be the flooding, may it be any natural disaster, you know, over 37 years of my life, I've always seen, you know, the first responders is always Pakistan Army, Pakistan Navy or Pakistan Air Force. That's it.
It is not Pakistan Army, it is the Pakistan which responds. It is not the individuals.
Thank you
I'm
so
just
much,
saying,
sir.
I'm just saying that if you have to make a punch, you may be saying this is Navy, this is Army, this is civil institutions, but the thumb will always be the nation, the people of Pakistan. So once we join together, we can make a punch. So all these, enemy is now targeting all these three things, our Muslimhood, our love for the family members of the family structures, and third is this social bond between the armed forces and the civilian, or the government and civilians, and the trust between each other.
True.
So they are targeting this, and this is a deliberate attempt.
Sir, if it is being targeted, I'm very
how
sorry,
to
but I
fix
think it's really important that, you know, I ask this over here. So while, you know, we say that, you know, that we as a nation have been targeted, now imagine that most of the time, you know, this is something that we do see, that for all of the political turmoil, I mean, I'm not saying that we do believe, but, you know, just because that we have been targeted with such or bombarded with such information, it is being widely said, not believed, that it might be the institutions behind the political affairs of the country. How would you go about it? Now, let's correct our facts as well. You know, it's 6th of September today.
See, I fail to understand this concept. These institutions are Pakistanis, the people is Pakistan, the state is Pakistan. We are all doing little bit of each other and to guard this threat. I am talking of the threat which is being enforced, or the Pakistan is at time presently facing. Mind it, in 2082, there is a latest study in last week or 2 weeks back. Pakistan is destined to be the 12th economic power in the world, and we will be, inshallah, $12.3 trillion GDP economy. The projections are there.
Inshallah, sir.
So this is the now I'm just talking why Pakistan is bombarded, and Pakistani nation needs to be confident. We are not weak, as the general said.
Alhamdulillah.
We are not weak nation. We just need to understand who is attacking, why they are attacking, why they want to drag Pakistan or they want to sink Pakistan now, because they understand if Pakistan is given 7 years of peace and tranquility and the comfort, Pakistan will take off.
So
and
why were we not able to understand it? Let's look at it like this.
Basically, they understand this.
Okay.
The people of Pakistan also understand. The only thing is lack of education. The reason is because we don't. If I'm unable to identify this message, the purpose, the main, the supplier, even if we are getting the Quran Sharif ayat, the problem is that sometimes translation is nullified. So, you want to create a religious hatred between each other,
Yep.
and some of our religious leaders, political leaders, and some other Western
And these are
leaders-
the infamous
and,
tools.
and they also create disturbance because of their own vested
Self-gain.
personal interest,
Yeah,
self-gain.
Right.
Vested
So,
interest.
this is the vested
Yes.
interest.
And
So,
I think there are lots of crevices within ourselves, and we need to identify what are these and how can we gel them together and make it more smooth working.
Yep.
So now coming to you, Commodore Shoaib Saab, is in 1965, you've seen how valiantly armed forces defended the country, and it was not just the armed forces, it was also, like Babar Saab mentioned, it was the thumb, the entire nation came out in the defense of that. And I said it before, like the liberty and exercise of fundamental human agency called choice. It's a very big blessing of Allah, right? And we do not take it, we take it for granted a lot. So back in 1965 and till now 2024, how far do you think we have come as a state, as a nation? What needs to be done?
First of all, I will tell you that Pakistan is a very, very resilient nation. We had a lot of problems right from the beginning, and still we are having the problems. In 1965, we, as a Air Force, we were having a national confidence amongst us.
Right.
And the wars are not won by the Air Force or Navy or Army. The wars are lost or won by the nations. That is the main message. And we as gathered here on the Defense Day, Martyrs and our Shuhada and Ghazis, they had sacrificed for this country. And to pinpoint this thing, what you asked for, that how we can pay tribute to them, what for which cause they gave their life, we should uphold that. That was the cause to keep the Pakistan flag up. And we need to have a cohesion between all the institutions and in the public. Only then we can surface out as a nation. And you talked about 65 and till now, mashallah, Pakistan Air Force, 27th February, you remember, that we were able to still hold the flag up of the country, national pride.
That's very true, and I think Air Force has also started working on its indigenous production, and that is something that we are really, really proud
GF
of.
17 Thunder.
GF
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So now moving the conversation to genocide, Zaid Saab, numerical superiority we have seen again and again throughout the history. It is often superseded by the will to fight, right? If you have the moral force in terms of the will to fight, so it does not matter whether you are less in the number or you are more in the number, right? So in order to protect our national territory or to have more national integrity, what needs to be done to, to revive back, that same spirit that we saw present in 1965 war?
Fundamental thing is only thing to me is have belief.
Right,
Belief in yourself, believe in your state, believe in your leadership,
right.
and believe in your institutions. Now, to have this belief, you have to have all these elements very, very strong. So, being a citizen of Pakistan, being a Pakistani, whatever you are, you may be working at a small workshop, or you're a driver, or you're a soldier, or you're a journal, or you're an anchor, whatever you are. So, think about yourself,
Right.
that are you contributing towards this belief? All right. So, your actions should be very, very positive. Have hope in the state, have hope in the leadership, all right? Yes, there might be many challenges, the
Right.
present environment and all that. Every country in the world is facing challenges. So in the challenges, there are opportunities, all right? As I said earlier, that this is not an ordinary state. We all are not at ordinary. And coming over to the soldiering part of it, I'll just say that the famous verse, that Fazai Badr paida kar, farishte teri nusrat ko, utar sakte hain gardu se.
Right.
So you have to, you have spoken about the
Right.
numerical superiority.
Yep.
So Fazai Badr, the Badr, all right?
Right, right.
So we have the history.
313 against
Yes.
1,000, yeah.
We have a rich history. It is, we are doing it now and we'll keep doing it, all
Right,
right?
right.
So don't you worry about the enemy. You were talking about one enemy. We have, all the neighbors, we are very unique country, in the world.
Exactly.
But I think modern era requires a lot of modern solutions, right? So when we talk about the challenges that we are facing in the 21st century, right, in Pakistan, and entire world is grappling that. It's not just Pakistani state. I think other states are also perplexed as to how to deal with this problem. That is the emergence of social media, right? The overflux of the information load, and we have seen that how it is creating polarization, fragmentation within the society. We are not ready to listen to the next person's point of view, right? So it is very famously said that let's agree to disagree. But I think we have also crossed that stage that we are not even ready to listen to what other person is saying. How can we make our people more media literate so as they do not fall on, you know, what is exactly, like you mentioned, that it's an era of virality. Something goes viral, we do not check the authenticity, but it's getting viral, everyone is talking about it. We have to join that bandwagon, right? Without checking what is the purpose behind it. How can we deal with this challenge, right?
And I do believe that it's more of our responsibility.
No, it's not. It's not, because we are not just using social media. Every other person is doing that, right? They are in the rural areas or they are in the urban areas. Every person has a smartphone,
comes from
right?
our, you know,
right?
whatever comes out of our mouth, I think all we certainly need to kind of talk about is how we've always maintained that, you know, that there's research behind that, you know, how we've always maintained that, you know, that the sources needs to be authentic, how we've always maintained that, God forbid, you know, our jobs can be in danger, but we need to say the right thing.
Also, it's a Quranic verse in which Allah mentions that humans or insan is very arrogant, right? So it is in our nature that we are very arrogant. We do not go for the research, and that is why we have the status that we can ascend to the status of Ashraful Makhluqat, right? The crown jewel of the creation, but we choose not to do so, right? How to fight against this very fundamental innate human nature, which is hinged around the concept of arrogance?
Well, Hajra, I will say that this is our collective responsibility.
True.
No individual or no, I mean, like he was saying that responsibility of a media. We can't say, we can't fix that is a responsibility. It's a whole of a nation approach, all right? So it starts from the home, from your birth, I mean, cradle to grave. This is a complete planned program, all right? The parents, all right? As sir were mentioning about the social system and the family system is under stress, and that's the targets, all right? So parents must understand. And as parents, we need to understand that we're living in their times, in the time of the social media and all that are youngsters, all right? So we have to carve the strategy, how to deal with it, all right? So it starts from your home. Then we have to take it to the schools, all right? Our teachers, and they should understand this. So right from the outset, from grade 1 maybe, all right? So the kids, and they should be taught about this, that how you will be targeted, all right, and what all is coming. And then we should speak, you know, in America, in recent past, till college, I mean, in their schools, they talk about only America and Americanism, all right. So they talk about the spirit of America and the social and the civics, all right. Then later on, the STEM programs and sciences, and they got attached. So in Pakistan also, we should be focusing on more of the Pakistaniyat, our religion, and these social ills which are coming in our society. All right, these should be part of the curriculum, maybe part of the training. So at every level, and all the institution heads, they should take care of such things happening in their institutions. So everybody is a leader. But again, I would say, first of all, lead yourself. So you're a leader, and then you have one follower inside you. So keep talking to each other. All right?
I think it's great. It's a brilliant idea as well. And in addition to this, I think let's put voice to this as well. And it's a thought that I've always had in my mind. And I always speak to my follower as well, just like you said. And it used to tell me that, you know, whenever, for example, you know, because we have studied about, you know, how you know, we're geographically located, the demographics of our country, and we've always, you know, read some amazing things about Pakistan, alhamdulillah, while we were in school or college or in university. But do you think, sir, you know, let's put voice to this thought, that, you know, that this is a process of evolution, you know, where we do speak about, you know, we are allowed to speak about our institutions, we are allowed to speak about the ills in our society, we have a lot of freedom to ourselves, and that this freedom shouldn't really be misused as well. You know, that's one thing that I always talk about. And, you know, people who are at the helm of affairs certainly need to put a check or probably some sort of control where people should actually stay within their own limits, where they're not harming, you know, their motherland or the national security as well. Do you think that this is a process that every nation goes through? Somebody will go through it quickly or quicker, somebody will take a little longer, and we will be there, where you said that, you know, the 12th highest economy in the world, inshallah.
Look, I think it is these things are already there in the Western societies. They also have a check and balances on the information system. They have very strong legal system. If you give any false news against any individual, he can take you to the court, and courts give you a very speedy decision against that. Even Islam also.
Sir, you said it. I will disagree with that, sir. Sorry. Yeah, but you know, I think that's the process. That's the process that we need to go through.
The problem is in Pakistan is I think there is a vacuum of the truth. It is responsibility of the state institutions also.
Yeah.
They should feed the people
Jat sahab
about
gusse na
the
ho jaye.
truth. If you are not giving the truth, or you are giving the vacuum to the people who can exploit that vacuum, and then this social media comes into play.
Yep.
If the news or the accuracy and fact based on facts, and people understand that this source is giving me the correct news or the factual facts about the everything, then people will start disbanding the other side.
True.
The problem I think in our society is we are not having either the trust in this news which we are coming in, so we always find our alternates. But as the Hajra was also mentioning, there is a Quranic verse, I think, that you need to check about the facts before spreading it.
True.
This is our responsibility. I
Yeah.
think we are not doing it, but the problem is the education. If we can educate our masses, and
Right.
education is not mathematics or physics or chemistry. When I was very young, there used to be a subject of civics,
Yeah, yeah.
but that subject has been abolished by some wisdom.
पहले सर 8 बजे बुलाते हैं, 2 बजे छुट्टी देते हैं, अभी तक
No,
और
issue
सब्जेक्ट भी
नहीं-
डाल देंगे.
But there are societies, in certain societies,
Yeah.
the civics is the subject.
True.
They are not teaching the
Mathematics
Urdu
or
and mathematics,
ABC or
especially the
colours,
first
yeah.
4-5 years
The
of
grooming
education.
aspect of it, yeah.
So that civic used to teach you the respect for the teachers, the parents, the society, the traffic rules, the living beyond in
Thank
the
you
families.
so much, sir, for saying that. And we certainly needed, you know, maybe the ethos, maybe the
Yeah.
morality, maybe the civic sense. All of this is required. Earlier, you know, instead, you know, it wasn't really taught in school. I think it was the neighborhood who used to teach us all of this. You know, even if, you know, somebody used to live like two houses far away, you know, I would call him Chachu myself, you know, I'll be like, and if Chachu would see me throwing any wrapper on the floor, he'd be like, Putter, kya kar rahe ho ye? Tum apne mulk ko saaf rakho. But sir, very quickly towards the end, you know, there's one more thing, and that is that, you know, so sir, always we have seen that, you know, wherever, in whichever institution, meritocracy is being ensured, we have seen that, you know, that institutions will always uphold their values, their morals, and their ethos. Now, since, you know, I disagreed upon, you know, where you said that anybody can take anybody to the court, and that's fine. I do not want anybody to get angry over this statement, that, you know, that we do see that, you know, that there's a little bit of injustice, you know, and it's because of the fact that sometimes, you know, people do get away within, you know, the kind of lawyers that they appoint, or probably, you know, however things work, you know, and inshallah in days to come we will see that these things will evolve and become better. Now, Sayyid Shoaib Sahab, I'll come down to you. How do you think that, you know, that our country, Pakistan, needs to make sure that bureaucracy, the institutions, the armed forces, to make sure that the institutions always uphold their values and they are profitable assets to the nation, you know, rather than being a liability, they're profitable assets?
All institutions and the public, they have to think as a one nation, as a Pakistan, and we should say shukramdullah that we are a nation, not just see the Palestinian and other nations who do not have their even passports, and as a whole nation we have to think collectively, and Mayusi is kufr also. And second point from the last talk, I would like to say that to resolve this thing, there are two things, two formulas, two course of actions, that whosoever is supposed to do his job, he should focus on his instead of commenting on others. Coming on to the second point, that is the communication link must stay between the institution and the public, and at all the institution level. And you were talking all about the media's bad aspect. Whereas the
I
media,
never use the word bad aspect here.
bad aspect, that
Yeah.
the wrong information coming and forwarding, and that is, I think that is a very good tool to get the truth from the facts. And that's the way we can communicate fastly. Just by one click you can pass on the message to the number of people. And just imagine, instead of passing a wrong information, in case we start passing on the right and truthful informations, and how fast it's going to be a good thing to revamp or disconnect.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you so
Yeah.
much, sir, for saying that very wonderfully. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming here for celebrating the Defense and the Martyrs Day. And I think when we talk about defending our mother nation, the concept of the defense has changed entirely. So before that, it was amassing the forces, amassing the weaponry. But now when we talk about the defense, it has broadened to protecting your citizen against the threat of climate change, against food insecurity. There's so many dynamics to that, right? And I always say that this is the era of de-responsibilitization, because we talk a lot about our right of freedom, right of this, right of that. We don't talk about our responsibility. So the paradigm of the defense will truly change if we start asking what have we contributed as an individual to our mother nation called Pakistan, instead of saying that, you know, what has Pakistan given to me. So if we shift our perception like that, I think we are going to immensely contribute, not just towards our nourishing, but to also nourishing of our independent homeland called Pakistan. So with that, we are winding up. We are saying you Allah Hafiz until next time. So goodbye and good
Pakistan
morning.
Zindabad.
Pakistan
Look after
Zindabad.
yourselves.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, sir.